Leviticus chapter 14. And the Lord gave Moses these regulations concerning a person whose leprosy disappears. The priest shall go out of the camp to examine him. If the priest sees that the leprosy is gone, he shall require 2 living birds of a kind permitted for food. He shall take some cedar wood, a scarlet string, and some hyssop branches to be used for the purification ceremony of the one who is healed. The priest shall then order one of the birds killed in an earthenware pot, held above running water. The other bird still living shall be dipped in the blood, along with the cedar wood, the scarlet thread, and the hyssop branch. Then the priest shall sprinkle the blood 7 times upon the man cured of his leprosy. The priest shall pronounce him cured, shall let the living bird fly into the open field. Then the man who is cured shall wash his clothes, and shave off all his hair, and bathe himself, and return to live inside the camp. However, he must stay outside his tent for 7 days. 7th day he shall again shave all the hair from his head, beard, and eyebrows, wash his clothes, and bathe. He shall then be declared fully cured of his leprosy. The next day, the 8th day, shall take 2 male lambs without physical defect, 1 yearling ewe lamb without physical defect, 10 quarts of finely ground flour mixed with olive oil, and a pint of olive oil. And the priest who examines him shall place the man and his offerings before the Lord at the entrance of the tabernacle. The priest shall take one of the lambs, and a pint of olive oil, and offer them to the Lord as a guilt offering, by the gesture of waving them before the altar. Then he shall kill the lamb at the place where sin offerings and burnt offerings are killed, there at the tabernacle. This guilt offering shall then be given to the priest for food, as in the case of a sin offering. It is a most holy offering. The priest shall take the blood from this guilt offering and smear some of it upon the tip of the right ear of the man being cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, upon the big toe of his right foot. Then the priest shall take the olive oil and pour it into the palm of his left hand, and dip his right finger into it, and sprinkle it with his finger 7 times before the Lord. Some of the oil remaining in his left hand shall then be placed by the priest upon the tip of the man's right ear, the thumb of his right hand, the big toe of his right foot, just as he did with the blood of the guilt offering. The remainder of the oil is in his hand. The remainder of the oil in his hand shall be used to anoint the man's head. Thus the priest shall make atonement for him before the Lord. Then the priest must offer the sin offering and again perform the rite of atonement for the person being cleansed from his leprosy. And afterwards the priest shall kill the burnt offering and offer it along with the grain offering upon the altar, making atonement for the man, who shall then be pronounced finally cleansed. If he is so poor that he cannot afford 2 lambs, then he shall bring only one, a male lamb for the guilt offering, to be presented to the Lord in the rite of atonement by waving it before the altar. And only 3 quarts of fine white flour mixed with olive oil, for a grain offering, and a pint of olive oil. He shall also bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, whichever he is able to afford, and use one of the pair for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. He shall bring them to the priest at the entrance of the tabernacle on the 8th day, for his ceremony of cleansing before the Lord. The priest shall take the lamb for the guilt offering, a pint of oil, wave them before the altar, as a gesture of offering to the Lord. Then he shall kill the lamb for the guilt offering, and smear some of its blood upon the tip of the man's right ear. The man on whose behalf the ceremony is being performed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. The priest shall then pour the olive oil into the palm of his left hand, and with his right finger he is to sprinkle some of it 7 times before the Lord. Then he must put some of the olive oil from his hand upon the tip of the man's right ear, upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the big toe of his right foot, just as he did with the blood of the guilt offering. The remaining oil in his hand shall be placed upon the head of the man being cleansed, to make atonement for him before the Lord. Then he must offer the 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, whichever pair he is able to afford. One of the pair is for a sin offering, the other for a burnt offering, to be sacrificed along with a grain offering. And the priest shall make atonement for the man before the Lord. These then are the laws concerning those who are cleansed of leprosy, but are not able to bring the sacrifices normally required for the ceremony of cleansing. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, when you arrive in the land of Canaan, which I have given you, and I place leprosy in some house there, then the owner of that house shall come and report to the priest, it seems to me that there may be leprosy in my house. The priest shall order the house to be emptied before he examines it, so that everything in the house will not be declared contaminated if he decides that there is leprosy there. If he finds greenish or reddish streaks in the walls of the house, which seem to be beneath the surface of the wall, he shall close up the house for 7 days, and return the 7th day to look at it again. If the spots have spread in the wall, then the priest shall order the removal of the spotted section of wall. The material must be thrown into a defiled place outside the city. And he shall order the inside walls of the house scraped thoroughly, the scrapings dumped in a defiled place outside the city. Other stones shall be brought to restore those that have been removed, new mortar used, the house replastered. But if the spots appear again, the priest shall come again and look. If he sees that the spots have spread, it is leprosy, the house is defiled. Then he shall order the destruction of the house. All its stones, timbers, and mortar shall be carried out of the city to a defiled place. Anyone entering the house while it is closed shall be defiled until evening. And one who lies down or eats in the house shall wash his clothing. But if, when the priest comes again to look, the spots have not reappeared after the fresh plastering, then he will pronounce the house cleansed and declare the leprosy gone. He shall also perform the ceremony of cleansing, using 2 baths, cedar wood, scarlet thread, and hyssop branches. He shall kill one of the birds over fresh water in an earthenware bowl, and dip the cedar wood, hyssop branch, and scarlet thread, as well as the living bird, into the blood of the bird that was killed over the fresh water, and shall sprinkle the house 7 times. In this way the house shall be cleansed. And he shall let the live bird fly away into an open field outside the city. This is the method for making atonement for the house and cleansing it. These then are the laws concerning the various places where leprosy may appear, in a garment, or in a house, or in any swelling in one's skin, or a scab from a burn, or a bright spot. In this way you will know whether or not it is actually leprosy. That is why these laws are given.